Hello and welcome to Unequal Sequel.
Extra.
Welcome everyone. We are Unequal Sequel, the podcast that talks about sequels every week for you, the listener. My name is Dave. I'm one of the two hosts of this podcast. And the other man you just heard say, that is Rich. Say hi, Rich.
Hi, Rich.
Do you know, I quite often forget to introduce ourselves and I just roll into it. And then I had like a thought the other day. I thought, you know what? New people do listen to us and they have no idea who we are or what we do properly.
True.
So every 5 episodes or so, I just go, hello, my name is Dave and he's Rich and this is Unequal Sequel. And this is not what we do full time, as in this is not our good podcasts. But they are okay because go listen to the interview episodes. They're a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, we're not professionals. We're enthusiastic amateurs, I would say. Yeah.
I want to say we're not professional critics.
Yes, that is true.
I think that's going to be really obvious by the time this podcast and this episode goes through and we talk about a film and you think, wow, they're doing a really bad job at this. But here we are. We committed to this a long time ago by mistake, pretty much doing these Friday episodes, didn't we? Because we did one and we went, oh, that's fun. And then, 130 of them later, 2 years?
2 years later, we're still doing one every week without fail.
Because sequels keep coming out and we keep thinking it's a good idea to talk about them, even if we don't like that genre of film. Cue linkage to this.
Thank
folks.
you. Yes. Yes. Saw X /10/Kiss. I don't know. I'm not sure which one it is.
it is actually 10. They do.
Oh, it is 10.
Count.
Okay.
They do count Spiral as number 9.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, yeah, we're on to 10 now. This is a franchise that's been going, nearly as long as mine and your friendship, I think, Rich. So, since 2004, the first one
2004, so nearly 20 years then.
20 years.
20 years, so not quite as long as we've been friends. 2003,
nearly,
I think we met.
Yes. So it's been going for a while, and it's been we'll play the game later.
Okay.
The Rotten Tomato higher or lower game.
Oh God! Well, I've only seen a couple, so.
Oh no, but it's quite a fun. And I know I've only seen 5 of these.
Okay, I have seen Saw 1 and Saw 2, and only because of this podcast. And now Saw 10, only because of this podcast. I would not watch any of these ever if it wasn't for this podcast.
These are not your flavour, are they?
No, they are the opposite of my flavour.
Because we've learnt, we used to be brave boys. We used to watch lots of horror films back in our youth, didn't we? We're like, we love horror films. And we quickly learnt we don't like horror porn.
Torture porn. Yeah, torture. This kind of like Saw, Hostel. I hate this stuff. It makes me come out in a cold sweat thinking about it. I really dislike it. And there's even more in this movie that I dislike. There are other things that people who listen to this podcast regularly will know there are things I don't like about in movies. And I think all of them are in this.
So, before we get into the storyline of this one, the synopsis of this one, you're a pretty newcomer to the Saw franchise. Was it always that torture porn that like kept you at arm's distance? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it was always that kind of. Yeah, I've just never been interested in movies where people get hurt, deliberately. Like, it's just not my thing.
And that's okay.
I watched Hostel at the cinema and came out of that and was like, I will never, ever, ever watch a movie like that again until I did this podcast and I had to.
You saw Hostel in the cinema?
I don't know why. I didn't plan on it. I was with someone who wanted to watch it, and I don't know I can't remember who, can't remember why I watched it, but I definitely came out of that going, well, that was disgusting.
The bit when he has to cut the eyeball from the Asian woman, that's
horrible.
Really,
it was the slicing of the Achilles tendon for me.
Oh, that's quite tame for that film, but is also the worst bit.
As someone who has torn an Achilles tendon, I fucking know how much that hurts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I remember watching this I didn't go and see in the cinema, the first one, Saw. No. I remember watching it at uni with our friend Matt Hyman. I think we rented it out from the Blockbusters around the corner. And I really liked the first one. I didn't see the ending coming because, not
yeah,
the smartest,
I can sort of see that it's sort of less. I know it's still a torture-y thing, but it's sort of less torture-y and a bit cleverer potentially. The first one,
I think it is.
And yeah, it does have that twist ending, which I think is interesting. Even though I did kind of see it coming.
You're a smarter man than me.
Only because I was like, why is that body still there?
I was like, oh, there's a dead body. They've left it there. How gross. That's not very nice. Or like, that's what you're going to become kind of thing. Or that was the last participant in the game. That's maybe what I was thinking. Anyway, I saw Saw 2 with my friends in Bath, of all places. It was a Halloween film. And then after Saw 2, I saw Saw 3. Saw 2 I quite enjoyed. There's a needle bit. We've talked about this with Ethan Lawrence on a guest episode when he picked it as his best sequel. And me and Rich don't agree with that option. But his history, if you go back and listen to Ethan Lawrence's episode about Saw, is brilliant. It's quite a wild ride. There's a needle bit in here that's really horrible. But there's a little bit of funnage and there's a good... Again, I think a good twist ending in the end.
Again, I would take Saw 2 over Saw 10 any day of the week.
We are counting these down. Then I saw Saw 3, and this is when it got a bit much for me. There's a torture bit at the beginning with they twist heads around and limbs, and that was bone breakage. And there's a man who's had to have some of his bones broken on purpose, not by accident. That was horrible. And then there's Saw 4, and that's when the main killer, Jigsaw, I'm pretty sure this is Saw 4, dies. Spoilers.
Okay, right.
And that I was like, I'm out. And then there was, after that, Saw 5, Saw 6, Saw 7, which they called Saw the Final Chapter.
Not, though.
Which is always brilliant. Then they came back in 2017. There's a 7-year difference there for Jigsaw. One of these was Saw 3D, but I don't know which one. Then they had that weird Chris Rock film the other year with Spiral.
Yeah.
Which was meant to start another franchisey kind of way of looking at these films, and it didn't. And then we're back here. We're back with Saw 10, which is actually Saw 1.5.
Yeah,
right?
it's a prequel sequel. So yeah, sits in between 1 and 2, right?
And this sets you up really nicely to do the synopsis.
Although, if you did watch it in chronological order, it totally spoils 2 for you.
Yes.
Because
it also
the twist of 2
is that guy in the safe, but
the twist of 2 is that the girl is working with Jigsaw as well, right?
Well, also you probably didn't stay around for the mid-credit scene.
I did not. No. Literally as soon as this movie ended, I was out of there. If I didn't have to stay for this podcast, I would have left after 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, they also ruin Saw 4 or 5.
Okay.
As well.
Right. Again, I haven't seen it.
They reveal his apprentice again. So he has 2 apprentices, basically.
Okay.
So done with. So they are good. I don't know if they're going to do another one. If they're going to do a sequel to this one, but it would be who fucking knows. Anyway, synopsis, please, Rich.
John Kramer, also known as Jigsaw, Saw 1 has happened at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes place after Saw 1. He's got his terminal diagnosis. He's struggling with that, and someone mentions to him about a experimental medical procedure, that's a miracle cure for cancer that can take place in Mexico. So he finds out who these people are, goes off to Mexico to have this procedure, and then lo and behold, wouldn't you know it, it's all a scam. So they've scammed him, they stole a load of money from him. It turns out they've been stealing loads of money from other people. Obviously, he's the wrong person to steal money from. So he exacts his revenge on everybody there in the only way that he knows how. Which is...
he's the good guy, Rich, right?
Is he He's not the good guy! I was when I was watching this, I was like, there are going to be some sick and twisted people out there who watch this and be like, they deserve it. They're scammers. They deserve to get mutilated and destroyed. That is not how life works. We do not have corporal punishment because it doesn't work like that. Fucking hell. His response is disproportionate to what happened to him. Like someone told him some fibs, so he made them break their own ankles. Like, it's disproportionate. The first thing that happens, the first bit, is he sees a hospital porter who you know nothing about, by the way, who might be stealing to feed his starving family. Like, so a hospital porter looks in the drawer, sees a watch, thinks, "Oh, I could take it." Then Jigsaw has a little flashback where he imagines sucking the guy's eyes out with a fucking Hoover, like some sort of demented Henry. I'm like, this is not a proportionate response. Like, you know nothing about that guy's situation. And it does, the film almost addresses that. Almost. Like, is his friend Amanda?
Yeah.
His sidekick. She almost sort of like gets him to think about, because there's a girl, Gabriella, who's like addicted to drugs, and obviously Amanda was addicted to drugs, and she almost says like, you've got to go a bit easier on her. There's a reason why she might have done this stuff. You don't understand, you know. But they completely throw that out the window.
Well, that's because Tobin Bell, whatever his name is, Jigsaw, John Kramer, is his moral compass is fucked.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Let's be honest.
He's not the fucking good guy. He's an asshole.
It does try a thing that they try to make you root for Jigsaw. Before we go on, Rich, I've got to ask a question. Do you want to go into spoilers here? I mean, can you spoil a film like this?
I mean, we probably should. Like, we should probably give people a warning that there's likely to be spoilers. Mainly because I have to talk about what happens.
The ending.
Because,
twist ending?
I have to talk about the ending because it's so fucking stupid.
Man,
I just really want to talk about it.
Okay, we'll get to that. Can you agree with me that the eyeball trap, the dream sequence that he has, the fantasy, as it almost might be, because he's like, oh, I could do this to him. The finger one, I reckon I could do that one. I mean, it'd be bad, and it would be
horrible, but I'd have flicked through those fingers as quick as fucking possible, mate.
Yeah, tick, 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 done. Yeah. I'm in a lot of pain, but I can go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad we both agree that. And then we get an early trap, and then it takes a while for you to actually get to the Jigsaw.
Like half of the film?
There's a lot of build-up.
Half of the film is John Kramer walking around looking a bit frail. That's half the movie.
Isn't it funny, right, that he, in real life, Tobin Bell is 81 now. And obviously this film is set in 2004, 2005, so 60-odd. And they're like, how can we make this man look ill? Oh, we don't have to worry about that.
We don't have to. He's 81.
He looks frail anyway.
Yeah.
But, quickly, I thought his performance was okay. Like, okay.
It's okay.
Rich is disagreeing.
No, you're right. It's okay.
He delivers what he's put on paper really well, I think, in this movie.
He's very blank, though, isn't he? He doesn't emote in any way. He's not an actor who you'd go through for any real feeling. At no point does he kind of... I mean, he's supposed to show some emotion when he meets the kid, right? And the kid gets involved. There's supposed to be a little bit of emotion there, but he doesn't really show any. He just learns the Spanish for pull.
I also think he's sucked in way too easily. This is a very smart man.
Yeah.
With way too much time on his hands. Like the research he does for his traps and whatever. You would think he would do a little bit more research on a medical facility that is unlicensed anywhere in the world, pretty much.
Yep.
In Mexico. And the person that's meant to be... The doctor is meant to be running, this Norwegian guy, I can't remember his name. He's gone missing, and it's his daughter.
Yeah, Cecilia Pedersen.
Yeah.
Peterson, something like that.
I think John Kramer is a smarter man than this film gives him credit for. But at the same point, he is on the last roll of his dice.
I guess it's
trying
like
to live.
Desperation, I suppose. Yeah, I think the baddie, they're all baddies. Everyone in this is a baddie. Cecilia Pedersen. She is in Ragnarok on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have not.
That is quite good. It's in Norwegian, so you have subtitles. It is about like Norse mythology. Gets a bit kind of teen drama-y in places, which is slightly annoying, but otherwise it's pretty good. And she plays a frost giant, which you can sort of tell because she's really tall.
Yes.
But yeah,
well,
I like
this
her.
film, she goes full Cruella de Vil.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She's full on like cackling evil genius.
She's almost like the witch from Snow White kind of.
She really is. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. But I know you. I'm going to get into my feelings a little bit. I like you. These are no longer my kind of films, and I think it will have to make it clear to our listeners that if you like Saw films, I think you're going to like this film, right?
I don't think it's got the clever bits that maybe the first and second one do.
This is such a shit series, Rich. This is
Is it? Well, I've only seen the first and second one, so I've only got those to compare it to.
Well,
so
let me tell you.
In comparison to the first and second movie, this is a big drop, I feel. Because it doesn't have any of the kind of, like the clever bits, like the dead body is alive, the kid is in the safe, that kind of...
Well, it tries a twist. But I think you'll be more than happy if you're an ordinary... If you thought this franchise works, then you're going to like this. I found myself not liking it, all of it, but, Rich, towards the end, I felt myself leaning forward. I was actually... Don't know what came over me. Intrigued, like I was into it. I don't know why. I was especially like I think we should get to the twist. I think I was actually invested.
Really?
At that point, and I don't know why, but because I have such a low standard for this film. I've seen 3 and 4. And
by the end of it, I was just fed up with its cruelty, I think.
Which trap was too much for you? Was it the leg one? Was it the brain
one?
All
of them.
Was it the ankle one?
All of them. I'd have enough by the first one. I'd had enough by the Hoover. And the fingers. I was done then. The brain one is fucking horrible. That is awful. Having to cut bombs out of your own arm is awful.
Oh, that was the one.
Really,
that really got me.
The second one, the first real one, the first one that's not imagined, and then there's
that was a lot of blood in that one for me.
Yeah,
that made me go in my stomach a little bit.
Okay, so there are
forgot about that one.
People that he dispatches, and in fact, what I guess what really annoys me is that people like the taxi driver who have barely anything to do with it, really. Have to do this horrible thing, his bomb strapped to his arm, and he has to cut the bombs out of his own flesh to survive. Horrible. He survives. He does survive. Yeah. So, but that's a horrible thing he has to go through. The main person who does it, the main baddie, fucking survives. Sorry, spoilers. We've said spoilers already. But also, if she hadn't survived, would just have died of poison gas.
Yeah,
that's tame in comparison. It's
she almost has not. I'm about to say she almost has an option. I mean, supposedly all of these people have an option, but they're also
but the option is not you will horrifically hurt yourself. We know she's a psychopath. We know she doesn't care about anyone but herself. It is absolutely no pain for her whatsoever to kill her boyfriend. She doesn't give a shit about him.
Yeah.
That's nothing. You haven't in any way helped her to learn a lesson. I thought at least some sort of guillotine was going to come down and chop her head off.
Or when you put your head through that thing, it was spiky.
Yeah, it at least hurt. But no, nothing. Literally the worst people in this movie. I've hit my bloody microphone again because I'm getting so annoyed. The worst people in this movie get treated the best. And that sucks. That sucks. The people who are virtually, not innocent, but they do something wrong, which is not a great thing. But the taxi driver guy who's probably paid some money to take some people to a place, again, lives in Mexico, probably not got a load of money, is still a taxi driver by the time everyone else has gone, so he's clearly not loaded. He has to cut bombs from the flesh of his arms. The girl who's addicted to drugs, who clearly has a crappy life, who's clearly got problems, probably some sort of psychological trauma, gets her face burnt off by a fucking radiation machine unless she breaks her own arms and feet.
Oh, yeah. Again, I thought I could do that one. I reckon.
And then gets murdered by the woman. Just stands on her neck. Like fucking hell. Like the people who aren't, admittedly they've done something slightly wrong, they are the ones who are treated the worst. It should be the worst people who get treated the worst.
I agree with that. Do you think, John Kramer, it kind of dampens the ending when you know that all this shit's going on at the end, he's getting covered in blood?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to go a bit, you can explain the end of it.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a minute, because I really hate that bit.
Yeah. Do you think it spoils it that we know he survives? Like, well, we know he gets out of this kind of thing.
Well, yeah, but then you could say that about any movie that's got a hero. Like, you know, the hero always survives, right? You know,
and he is a hero.
He's not.
Anyway, let's twist
He's
it.
An arsehole.
Go on then. Set this up.
So basically, what happens is, obviously, John captures all the people that have wronged him, but you think one of them's got to a phone, and she calls a number, and then this bloke who's her boyfriend turns up, but you don't realise he's her boyfriend, because John has seen him in the hospital, supposedly as another patient. So when he turns up and he sees John and stuff, and he's like all kind of, I came to get my money from these fuckers.
Good impression.
Yeah, because he's British, so you know he wants to get his money back. He acts like he's pissed off, but he's not. He's in league with them. But somehow John knows that, and he's the person that she called. That's how he knew to go there.
Right.
So yeah, so he knows he's in league, but yes, but basically they do a switcheroo where they're like he's got a gun and he gets John and he ties into one of the machines, and then they find a kid playing football randomly outside. Fuck knows where he came from, but it's a kid that John met earlier and helped fix his bike. And they put them both on this kind of like blood soaking machine, which presumably you're supposed to think John meant for them, but obviously he didn't, because he's one step ahead. And I'm like, no. All of this is annoying.
Was the trap originally for John and Amanda? Was that?
I presume they originally planned it to be for John and Amanda, but obviously, like, Cecilia is more of a psycho, so went and got his kid instead.
And this is another thing you hate: is
more about the kid.
Kids in peril. Right?
I really hate kids getting hurt in movies. I fucking hate it. And this kid getting tortured with blood, like. I think about the psychological effects on this poor child of seeing mutilated bodies and getting half drowned in blood afterwards. Like, you know, I think it doesn't matter that John gave him a big fucking bag of money. Like, who gives a shit? That's not going to sort out your lifetime of
Since I started to have that boy, I was like, well, Rich is going to hate this. And he's going to hate the arm bit.
And it just so happens that the words he needs to use to communicate in Spanish are no push.
Oh, yeah.
Or no pull, or whatever the fuck it is.
That's set up horribly.
It's set up horribly. Oh, God.
As a film, trying to forget about, does it hit the beats? Is it a good film? Is it well made?
I'm trying to put aside
you know what I mean?
the fact that I find this genre of film
that's what I'm trying to get to.
Pretty awful. And so, but talking about the quality of the filmmaking, I think it's relatively well made. I don't think the script is great. I think there are some shoddy bits. I don't think it's as interesting as the first two. I think it suffers from trying to cram in more torture, more gory torture, more horrific things, and loses the story. But having said that, when it tries to tell story, it's kind of boring. Like,
well, there is about 40 minutes.
There's about 40 minutes of John wandering around looking frail. That's really dull. Like, really dull. Like, nothing happens. Like,
I just can't get my head around sometimes how he gets things done. Him and Amanda get things done. Like,
where's the money come from?
And I know, and I know that he's whatever he is, a technician,
an engineer.
But to put these tracks together is quite remarkable.
I know some engineers. I don't think they've got as much money as that or could do any of that stuff.
Especially in that short amount of time. I just want to give you one fact. This is the longest Saw film, I believe.
It felt long.
1 hour and 58 minutes out of all of them.
Yeah, it felt long.
And just, I know you're trying to separate yourself to the film, but sadly people tune in to listen to what you and I think, weirdly.
Yeah. You
and
weirdos.
I think, yeah, I know. So it's good that you're being truthful. And you're like, I think I'm in the same boat. These aren't films, but I think if you like Saw films, then you might get something out of it. I just want to do a quick higher and lower, and I know you haven't seen past them, but I think it's quite fun.
Yeah, I should really have done this for you because you've seen. Oh yeah,
well I've only seen 2 more than you.
Well, yeah,
so it's not. True. I haven't seen a huge amount more. I haven't even. I don't want to see these things. So I think it's quite remarkable that for 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, they did one
every year. We should probably just say what the scores are rather than making me guess because I've got nothing to base that on. So we should just.
You're such a clever man. Okay, so Saw 1, which me and you think is an okay film.
Yeah, I think it's all right. It's all right.
The critics gave 50%.
Yeah, well, I don't think it'd be a critically acclaimed movie.
I think, well, this is...
Horror's difficult for critics, isn't it?
But this is early 2000s. I think this is before Hostel. This is like the original of this type. I thought they would have been, oh, wow, this is a little bit different. Wow, that's
I think it was seen as quite a schlocky B movie, though. And there are bits in it that I watch and I'm like, that's horrible. I mean, that's horribly made, not like horrible.
But the audience disagree. They think it's an 84%.
Yeah,
again, we know Rotten Tomatoes is a flawed system.
And that's why we get all these sequels, because audiences like them and they make money.
And they're made for very cheap as well. We're not going to go into the budgets, but just imagine it was made for $1 million and it made like 200 million for. There's a system there. We'll keep going. Saw 2, critics 37%.
Okay.
Audience 59%.
Yeah, I didn't like Saw 2 as much as Saw 1. I didn't think it was great. No, I liked it more than this, though.
Saw 3, critics 30%.
I'm seeing a trend.
Audience 71%.
I'm seeing a trend. Audiences like these more than critics do.
Yeah. Saw 4, critics 18%. Audience 62%.
That's the one you gave up on, right?
No, I gave up on this one. Saw 4.
Oh, I thought that was 4.
That was 4. Yeah, you're right. 5. Sorry, I can't see around my microphone. 5, 13% for critics.
Right.
52% for audience.
And they're dropping. They're both dropping.
6. I mean, a lot of people I've spoken to agree with this. Critics 39%.
Okay.
And audience 49%. So they were like, oh, this is it might have some juice left in it.
So critics liked it more. Critics thought it was better.
But only
audiences
39%.
thought it wasn't.
No, audience 49%. 39%, 49%.
No, yeah, but what was the one before it?
52%. Oh,
so,
yeah, right.
So audiences dropped and critics went up.
Wow. And then Saw the final chapter, which they were like, this is going to be the last one. Critics, 9%.
Ouch.
Audience, 41%.
Okay.
And then 2017, so a 7-year difference. I don't know what we had in those 7 years. Crap, probably. Jigsaw, they called this one. And critics 32%, audience 89%.
Wow, okay. Audience love that movie.
And then we move on to Chris Rock. They were trying to do something different.
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson's in it as well, weirdly. I don't know why. And it's called Spiral from the Book of Saw, but it's still canon in the world of Saw.
So is that 8 or 9?
That's 9 now. Right?
9, right.
That was critics 37%, audience 75%.
Okay. Yeah.
And now, Saw 10, 2023, critics, 81%.
What?
You read the reviews of this, Rich.
What?
It's quite positive.
What the fuck are they watching?
Because a lot of people think it's fun. Audience, and I can't imagine it's quite new. It's only been out for a couple of weeks. Is 90%.
Wow, I'm really surprised. Because if I try and look at it objectively, taking out the fact that I find the subject matter quite abhorrent, and I look at it objectively, and I think it's dull, it's slow, like it. I don't know. It doesn't do anything interesting as far as I can tell. Like, it's got weird plot holes. What does it do to deserve that rating?
I don't know.
Some of the dialogue's borderline unwatchable. Like, it's weird. Like,
This is franchise, like as I saw as a franchise, it is massive because, there's a theme park ride in Fort Park in England. I mean, in the Universal Studios every year they do the Halloween nights, and it's a big deal there. There's a themed restaurant this year in London. There's a whole experience. I mean, it's a thing. Saw's a thing. They're not going to let it die. And I think this has done okay money, budget wise to box office wise. It's done okay.
Do you know what it's done?
I haven't done. Come on now. You can have a look.
So budget 13 million. Oh, so sticking to that relatively low budget.
Yep.
And so far worldwide gross 56 million.
Guys, it's going to hit.
It's doing all right. Yeah, it's doing all right.
That's lots of profit there. And it wouldn't surprise me if we carry on. I'm not quite sure what route, because obviously we know that Tobin Bell character John Kramer dies at a certain point, and the man himself who plays Jigsaw is 81. I'm not quite sure how many he's got left in him. I thought it was all right in this film. Wow, we spoke about this a lot longer than I thought we were going to go into. Let's do the question: unequal sequel, yes or no? And what's your rating?
Saw 2?
Well, you can, because this is set between Saw 1 and 2. So how does it fit in that trilogy for you?
For me, it's objectively, or to me personally?
To you personally, that's why.
To me personally, it's worse than 1 and 2, and I didn't like 2, so yeah.
And what would you rate it out of 7?
Again, objectively or me?
You, Rich. This is
me.
What we're here.
Me, 1 star. I don't ever want to watch anything like this ever again. Thanks.
And strap in if there's another sequel, if they do it every year. We have this discussion every year. I think if they do another one, I think we should just leave it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm appreciating horror a lot more. Like, I'm not, there are horror movies that I've enjoyed for the movie. This isn't one of them, though.
Okay, well, we'll see what it's not like next year then, if they do Saw 11 or Saw whatever they're going to call it. I agree with you. I don't think it's nowhere as I really liked Saw 1, and it's one of those films that I've watched kind of once, and I had such a good time with it, and I liked it. And I think if I watch it again, I wouldn't have that same feeling. So I've kind of left it. Saw 2, I think, is a little bit fun. I had fun when I first watched it with my friends, and I loved talking to it about with Ethan. And when you're going into those conversation with someone who's going to talk so passionately about it, I think you kind of watch it differently. But yeah, same as you. I wouldn't give it a 1, man. I would give it like a 2.5. I thought it was okay.
I'm just going from my perspective. I think in terms of a film, it's probably all right. It's a mid-range. It's in that 3.5 bracket. I mean, it's not badly made. It's not great. Compared to Expendables 4, it's a fucking masterpiece. But I just really hated it. I desperately wanted to leave the cinema. Like, I really did. Like, if it hadn't been for having to do this podcast, I wouldn't have stayed to the end.
I think that's okay, because there's a lot of people that don't like other theme, like certain
there's those people that hate musicals, and
oh yeah, there is.
I think musicals are all right. So
or even superhero films, or even popcorny films.
Exactly.
But if you want to see a bit of blood and torture and a whacked way of who's a good guy and a bad guy kind of thing for Halloween, then this could be the one.
Yeah, and I guess the thing that turns me off the most about it is that what really went through my head there is sort of what I said already, is that there are genuinely people that have watched this and gone, yeah, Jigsaw's right. He's the hero. He's doing the right thing. Like,
well, no, he isn't. Support Donald Trump as well and stuff.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably. But, there we go. I think just,
lost some of our listeners there. And on that note, we should stop talking. Yeah. Rich, see us out.
I thought you just did. Bye. Oh, dear. If you haven't been turned off by our dislike of Saw movie and comparing Saw fans to Donald Trump supporters, we're not saying that's true, by the way.
That's not what I mean.
That isn't what Dave meant. I'm just being, annoying. Then you can go back and listen to our other reviews. We have seen movies we like. That has happened. And, Dave didn't dislike this one as much as me. But you can go back and listen to other reviews where we've liked movies. While you're there, hit the subscribe button and the auto-download button. We'll drop into your pod player of choice every single week. Tell us what you thought of Saw X. Maybe you loved it. Maybe you thought it was incredible. I would like to hear from you, because I do kind of like hearing from people who think differently to me. I'm not the sort of person who thinks everyone should agree with me. I like difference of opinion and discussion. So yeah, if you completely disagree, you think Saw 10 is brilliant, and actually I think you're in the majority from the sounds of it, then get on the social media, give us a shout. We're on whatever Twitter's called now, that thing. We're on Threads, we're on Instagram, we're on Blue Sky, we're on TikTok, we're on Letterboxd, and we're at Unequal Sequel on all those things. If you don't do social media, and fair play to you, we are on email. You can drop us an email, unequalsequel@hotmail.com. Our website is currently down. It's being revamped, so you won't be able to find us on there. But it will be coming back soon for us with something nice and flashy and cool. And yeah, just check us out. Let us know what you think. We'll read out all your comments in our end of month roundup. If you really, really like us, get yourself over to anotherslice.com/unequal sequel. We have a subscription service. It's $2.99 a month, and you get extra bits to all our interview episodes, sequels to all of those. You get box set mentality, and you'll be able to hear me and Dave review the Twilight box set. Amazing. And we also get Disenfranchised, where we talk about movies that should have had a franchise and didn't. Also, if you're interested, we've been nominated for a lovely award, and me and Dave are going off to the Independent Podcast Awards to see if we're gonna win a lovely award. Wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, it would be nice, but that's not why we're going.
No. To be honest, the main reason I'm going to the awards ceremony is because there's lots of people we've had on as guests there, and I'd like to meet them all in real life, because they're all so lovely, and we have just wonderful other movie podcasters around. And
I'm going because I love podcasting, and I'm going to support independent podcasts.
Yeah, so we'd be going even if we didn't get nominated, wouldn't we?
We probably would, actually, because we're cool like that.
Next year, we're definitely entering Best Jingle. We've got to think of some new jingles, Dave.
Hey, yes, we get your son to do it. He's talented. And, okay, I really would like some more reviews from people who know what they're talking about for Saw X. So send them in. I'd love to hear from them. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the podcast. I've got nothing else to say, so it is a goodbye from me. Bye-bye. It is a goodbye from him.
Bye!
See you next week. Sequel to this week. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Bad news. Next week is also another horror film.
Oh, no more horror films. October's the worst.
yeah. Exorcist Believer next week, so I'm sure that's going to be great. Touch wood.
Cheers.